For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And
I know. Guess what? It's Gamergate's fault again.
Somehow, Gamergate has returned. We're gonna talk about the. Well, I guess we're gonna do a post-mortem on Polygon and Giant Bomb and all these other video game websites from 2015, 2016, 2017 that have imploded. For those of you who don't know, who missed the last couple of videos, Polygon got sold off to Clickbait Factory Valnet, and everybody got.
Oh, you better be careful there.
Everybody got objectively Clickbait Factory Valnet, and everybody got fired and or quit in disgust. And now we have gaming journos out there blaming Gamergate for that.
Of course, because it's always Gamergate's fault. It couldn't possibly be their fault for not bringing in the views. It couldn't possibly be the fault of the fact that the whole internet is like in decline because of Google and AI and all that stuff, wiping out websites right and left. It couldn't be because of that. It's because of Gamergate, guys.
It could be just simple economics. That's too easy. You can shove Occam's razor up your ass.
I know, right?
It's gonna hurt a little bit. Try some lube.
Some of them might like it. I don't know.
Oh God.
I don't want to judge,
Let's talk about Gamergate in 2025 as it relates to Polygon. In 2025.
He's shaking his head like, why are we even talking about this?
What
anyway.
am I doing? All right, let's talk about this before we get into it any further. Deep breath. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
If you'd like non-Polygon-esque news, go to news.clownfishtv.com. Let's talk about this. So, we're gonna look at this article first. This was, I thought, I was looking for information on Steve Bannon. And
wait, what?
Steve Bannon,
I know why.
The guy, the sweaty guy that used to hang out with
Trump.
Yeah,
because he's the guy that him up?
Well, because Alyssa Mercanti was blaming him.
Okay.
Former Kotaku journalist, former Rolling Stone
journalist
journalist.
In general, now is a waitress?
Current waitress, yes.
I mean, according to her.
According to her. Those are her words, not mine. So blaming Steve Bannon, the sweaty guy that used to hang out with Trump, for Gamergate, and then by proxy Gamergate for the collapse of all this stuff. So I found this article. I swear to God, I thought it was from 2018. It's from 2025.
So wait, let me get this straight. So Alyssa Mercanti is blaming the decline of the blogosphere and games journalism on Steve Bannon and Gamergate from like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Am I okay?
And we're talking about
Is that why
Yiannopoulos.
she got fired? Is Steve Bannon in the room with you right now, Alyssa? I don't understand this.
Nobody cares about Steve Bannon. Nobody cares about Milo Yiannopoulos. That is a name I've not heard in a long time, but these people are obsessed with internet personalities from 10 fucking years ago, 12 fucking years ago. Nobody cares about these people except you because you're living in 2014 forever.
Oh, wait. I love her comment. Okay, can I please read her comment?
Yeah.
Steve Bannon, through a thriving Breitbart and a struggling left-leaning media coupled with social media platforms pushing unfettered lies and biased rage, would exacerbate fragile male egos and achieve his goals. I just find it highly, highly, highly ironic that Alyssa Mercanti is going on about biased rage and fragile egos.
He used you and your computer friends for power. He used you and your little dog too.
I can't stop with the irony that she's complaining about using social media to promote unfettered lies, bias, and fragile egos.
I think what's hilarious, and we'll get back to her comments.
Projection.
Yeah. Struggling left-leaning media. That is actually not even remotely true. At that point in time, left-leaning media was at the height of its power because it had all this venture capital at its disposal.
And Trump to complain about.
and Trump to complain about. Like, you could not be a conservative or even conservative leaning and say anything on social media. You can say anything in print, online. You
Oh,
can,
that's when they owned Twitter. They ran Twitter. And
yeah, they ran Twitter. They basically had like a cabal running YouTube. You weren't allowed to say anything out of turn. I mean, it was for anybody who was normal. I'm not even talking right wing. I'm not even talking far right. I'm talking like right in the center who doesn't give a shit about politics. It was hell. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't say anything.
You know, all people like Mercanti can do, Alyssa Mercanti can do, is try to rewrite history to try to make themselves, paint themselves as the victim or the victor. And that's what she's trying to do. But as she's waiting tables, wherever she's waiting tables. Okay,
so let's talk about Gamergate, and then we'll go back to her comments. So yeah, CNN just a month ago. Like I stopped looking for Gamergate articles because I'm like, surely Gamergate is over at this point. Like, it's over. Like, it's dead. No, for some of these people, it will never end.
How Gamergate foreshadowed the toxic hellscape that the internet has now become. I mean, guess I haven't read this, but I'm going to guess they're stepping over the toxic hellscape that the internet was for the last 10 years when they ran it. Because if you were anything like remotely right of far left, you were labeled immediately a Nazi. I mean, yes. You could be like very far left leaning, but you weren't far enough. And the purity tests they set up were absolutely ridiculous. Where most people were in the middle and just like, just this is insane. Like, we were always in the middle and thought we leaned left and thought it was crazy, but we were never left enough. So we were always
that's
labeled.
What I'm talking about.
And we were always labeled because of it. And they're going to say about a hellscape, you mean like literally most of the normies, like you said, and like us, people like, we're like completely harassed incessantly, even if you didn't even take Trump's side. And there was 4 years he wasn't even in office and they still were being dicks. But now it's toxic, guys, because they aren't in power. That's the difference. It's okay when they do it. It's just not okay when they think you're doing it.
All right, here we go. We're going to give you a very cursory summary of this. Hate speech proliferates in online spaces. Algorithms designed to maximize user engagement amplify divisive content that inevitably leaves us outraged. Disinformation and misinformation spread on social media at rates seemingly impossible to contain.
Wait, I'm confused because that was going on. That was going on, especially with misinformation during COVID and all that stuff under Biden. But beyond that, weren't they complaining about the same things like 10 years ago when they were in control of the internet and they said that was happening then?
Yes,
but now they're saying that didn't happen. Right. But now they're saying that it didn't happen until now. Which one is it? It can't be both ways. Either the last like so many years since Gamergate, it's all been like that this entire time. And thanks to you were getting rid of it. Or it just now has gotten to a place where it's so bad because it just happened now. Which is it? It literally cannot be both.
People who were paying attention to certain corners of the internet saw this reality coming more than a decade ago with Gamergate, in which an angry online mob waged a virulent harassment campaign against women and diversity in video games.
Okay, well, let's take a moment to look at this for a second. Wasn't there a big wave of people that were harassing Gina Carano, a woman, because she wouldn't put she, her in her bio on Twitter at the time. And they harassed the shit out of her and threatened her and called her names and did everything they're claiming Gamergate did to women in gaming. They did. But how come it's okay when they do it?
Yeah, well,
I would argue the same thing's been going on. I got called a C word in Spanish by some dude who tried to tell me that I was an internalized misogynist because I didn't like Ray. And I said I thought she was kind of Mary Sue. And because of that, this man decided he was going to call me, basically, he called me a cunt in Spanish, which I don't like using that word. I hate that word. In Spanish, because I didn't agree with his opinion on Ray. But that's okay if he harasses me, because you're only a woman or a minority that matter if you agree with them. If you don't agree with them, then you're just as bad as whatever they decide you are. They will minimize you, they will insult you, they will dismiss you and step over you and act like they're the victor and they're righteous. And they themselves did what they are saying they're standing up against. And that's what it's been like for people like me for the last 10, 12 years. So don't give me this shit. CNN, who wrote this?
I don't know. Some rando that has a hate boner for
Harvey. I want to know who this.
I have no idea. What does he write about?
What's his name?
Oh,
I
it's
can't
a
even read.
she.
Or Hermit. Hermit, suck it.
Teenage boys are in crisis. Gamergate's awful.
Wait, all she does is all this person do is go around making these articles like this.
People post themselves crying. No dinner parties after Trump's win. Some women are considering the 4B movement. Oh, for God's sake. Okay.
Well, please, by all means, Hermit, do the 4B movement. I don't care. Kneon doesn't have to worry about it.
Okay. I can't with this. Seriously, I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is the most 2016 thing I have ever seen.
I just don't understand
You're
how
10 years late to this.
Well, not just that, but everything that they're saying, it doesn't make sense because basically everything that they did is what they're complaining about now, but it's okay when they did it, for one. And then they also kept saying this was going on in other articles the whole time, and now they're saying that now it's happening. Well, you can't be both. Harmeet.
Oh, God. Yeah, people who were paying attention saw it coming. Gamergate was one of the earliest indications that what happened online could have major implications offline. And
Not really.
The few people who understood the mechanics of the internet could manipulate it to advance a nefarious agenda. Those who experience...
What happened online happened offline, like people killing themselves?
Yeah.
Oh, but that was a guy.
Yeah. Those who experienced the harassment firsthand warned that if not taken more seriously, the behaviors underlying Gamergate would fester. In the years since, some experts and observers see it. Social media platforms on which Gamergate transpired failed to adequately combat toxic content and online abuse, while lawmakers, traditional media outlets, and much of the public failed to see its relevance beyond the world of video games.
But isn't Brianna Wu saying that they're going too far now?
Yes.
Not Gamergate. These people like Harmeet. And she was one of the ones involved in Gamergate.
Probably. Oh, yeah, Brianna Wu, yeah.
And now Brianna Wu's like, oh, it's going too far. The left's going too far.
Because they ate you last, but they're still going to eat you.
I'm just saying, Harmeet wasn't probably directly involved in Gamergate. Harmeet probably wasn't even old enough to understand what's going on during Gamergate.
Oh, my God. So this is, okay. Oh, my God. I can't. From flooding the use of memes, which points to Steve Bannon, this is so fucking stupid. The tactics once employed by a niche community of gamers are all too familiar today. They've since developed into a political strategy that's routinely used in the halls of power. Everything, to use a popular internet shorthand, everything is Gamergate. Everything is Gamergate from the New York Times. Oh my God. I remember
this is an old article, isn't it?
It's from 2019.
I was gonna say we covered that before.
What the fuck?
I remember that.
What is she like? What the fuck? This is. Oh my God! So going through the approved. It's so stupid. Basically, Gamergate's game social media. They got Twitter. Oh my God!
But it was again. It was. Whoa. Oh, it was okay when they had Twitter.
They used Twitter's hashtag and retweet function to control public narrative. Bullshit. By generating a volume of activity on the platform, they could make it seem like a particular message was trending, even if a small group of users was behind it. That wasn't Gamergate. That was the other side. It was proven.
Well, I don't think this girl was around then. I don't think she was old enough to know what was going on then. She was probably elementary school or something.
These are all the Wikipedia, Reddit approved talking points. Does she exist or is this AI? I really got to wonder. Oh my God. Gamergate became a tried and true playbook. There, Steve Bannon.
Okay, so that's interesting. CNN does this article, and then Alyssa McConaughey is trying to tie everything back to Steve Bannon and stuff now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Isn't that weird, guys?
It's a little weird. So that's where I wanted to go with it. So CNN does this a month ago. Now Polygon is imploded, and we got this guy here, Old Man Grimm. Hi, Old Man Grimm. Who is calling out that Alyssa Mercante is calling out Madame Savvy because a lot of people have been celebrating the alleged demise of Polygon. We don't know. I think Valnet, true to form, will probably buy the URL and then just turn it into another video game clickbait farm. Allegedly.
Probably. I mean, they're not going to waste the name. They're not going to waste it. It's just not going to Polygon, now.
Right. The domain has value. That's people understand. Sometimes when they sell a website, they're not buying the website for the writers. God, no. They're buying it because that domain has weight. But I'm sure they bought it at a fire sale price because the internet is not the same internet was a year ago. Google's not sending traffic like they
No,
used to.
again, the reason these sites are going down is because one, you don't have the people writing articles people want to read. You don't have the support. That's why we saw other places being told to do game guides because no one's reading their articles. They've made their stuff political over and over again. They didn't stick to sports like they needed to, and people don't go to their sites anymore. And then you had that tied to, with the whole downturn of the internet. Like, I cannot express to you how much that Google has tanked blogs. And we're not talking about this mom and pop blogs. We're talking mainstream blogs too. Places were down 90% last year. So they cannot likely to afford to keep paying people and keep them there. So they don't have much of a choice but to sell for like a really cheap price, which really, really, really sucks. And it's not because Gamergate pushed these people out. It's not because Gamergate won. No one gives two shits about Gamergate now, except for these people who keep trying to make it happen again because they think it'll give them relevancy.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, nobody gives a shit about Steve Bannon, Milo Yiannopoulos, any of these other people that are around.
Alyssa McConaughey, it's not going to give you more relevance.
Nobody's going to give a shit about her in 2 years.
Write that table more. I don't want to tell you.
So yeah, this guy's post here. Holy shit. This biatch was spurging out before it was 8. And yeah, we know how free press works, dingbat. The reason why we are all rooting for these outlets to fail is exactly because they're not actually free press, but activist press.
Yes.
Which, yeah, they're run by activists, which coincidentally is exactly why they failed. I guess she forgot that while these companies are doing gaming journalism, they're still companies. And for companies to continue, they need to turn a profit. And clearly having these gaming journalism companies put out articles focusing on race, representation, queer identity, and other such bullshit identity politics focused articles when speaking about every single new game that comes out wasn't profitable. I thought that was just common sense. Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing. It wasn't even like, in a lot of cases, it wasn't just the article was like, can we talk about why there's not more queer characters in games? It wasn't that. It was like, okay, this game came out and it's problematic because we don't have XYZ kind of person in it.
Well, not just that. This game came out. We didn't play it because we're protesting it.
Hogwarts Legacy gets a 1 out of 10.
Yes. We weren't even rating it fairly. We didn't even play the damn thing. We're just doing it as an activist thing. But I will say in disagreement a little bit is the fact that the internet, being on the side that has a blog, it has tanked so hard, you have no idea. Like,
that was a kill shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already in decline for the reasons mentioned, 100%. But I think it hastened the demise significantly.
Right.
When Google started doing what they did.
Yeah, and for people who are running the catch up here, if you haven't watched videos, we've talked about Google. Basically, this year they rolled out the AI snippets. The problem started last year. Actually, I started noticing the problems fall of 2023. They started cutting off a lot of mom and pop blogs, and then the kill shot was now everything is AI search, and chances are very good that even if people find you with Google, they're not going to go to your website. They're going to get a paragraph summary scraped from your website.
Right, and Google gets to keep all the money.
They get to keep all the money. That's what they're doing. Said watching this sheltered white liberal woman attempt to create a discord for gaming journalists and attempt to do what companies with millions of dollars and tons of resources fail to do is going to be laughably glorious.
Wait, is that what she's trying to do?
Yeah. So basically what she's saying is, and I don't disagree, because I said yesterday, I said, if these people are going to have a future, they're going to have to do it themselves. They're not going to have a company that they can go work for and get a 6-figure check working for the whatever feminist blog out there. It's over. You have to do it yourself. So she's like, oh, we're going to basically have to go take it back, for our side, but gamers aren't on your side. You made sure of that. Like, even if they were going to listen to you, a lot of them, you want to know, they're like, who radicalized you? I'm like, a lot of you journos did.
I pointed that out many times. We've pointed that out many times. The reason people have turned against you and have gone the other way, your behavior, not just like gaming journalists, just journalists in general, the militant activists, the far left activists and stuff, you literally just pushed everyone to vote for Trump. That you did that. That is on you. Your behavior, people are just so sick of your shit, they wanted anybody but you. Okay? That's what happened. You did it yourself because you will not take a rational stance. You will not. There's no nuance. You're guilty and everything's wrong because you dare not. You don't agree with me 100%. Welcome to reality. Short of yourself, no one's going to agree with you 100%. I don't even agree with Kneon 100%.
You better.
Make
You
me.
know it's good for you. You better.
I'd like to see you try and make me. Anyway, let's continue.
So this whole thing, I'm trying to follow this. This is Madam Savvy. And Madam Savvy was retweeting Cecilia Dinastio. I don't know, Dinastasio. This is absolutely horrifying. Talking about Polygon collapsing. Scoop up these great reporters. More mainstream, blah, 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 would benefit from games industry coverage. No, it's not profitable. They wouldn't. So Madam Savvy says, LOL, if they were great, Polygon wouldn't have gone under. Experts. And it's just a bunch of opinionated activists who still think they control the industry. The day devs no longer have to worry about some agenda-driven chuckle duck putting out a stupid, I can't believe. Okay, I can't see that. Anyway, so Alyssa jumps in here.
But they're not wrong.
I know you and others in your circle like to dance on the graves of anyone you deem agenda pushers while transparently pushing agendas. But the gutting of a free press is bad for any modern democracy. Its gutting over the last decade is why you believe conspiracy theories. It hasn't been gutted over the last. It actually was completely controlled, locked down by corporate interests and political activists. And it's only been in the last year or two that there's been any attempt at balance, right? I mean, it really, and
but it's
really
too late. You already lost everyone.
Yeah, because I mean, really, what it took, it was the stranglehold of activists like Alyssa Mercante that chased off a lot of the normies, and the reason that they pushed so, like you said, the reason they pushed so hard back, maybe they wouldn't have voted for Trump in 2016, but by God, they can't say anything online anymore without getting in trouble. So
it's funny. Like before we started this, you're like, I don't know, maybe you're the position you're in because you're a shithead. That's what you said. So there we go, McConty. Maybe you're in the position you're in right now because you're a pretentious shithead.
Steve Bannon knew a thriving Breitbart. Yeah, we talked about that. And struggling. It wasn't struggling. Why are they saying this? Do you know how much money they were pumping into shitholes like BuzzFeed and Vox and Vice? The hundreds of millions, the billions of dollars that they burnt over the last decade, they burnt it. It was all venture capital. It was other people's money. Hell, Disney got hosed by Vice for like $400-500 million. That's an inconceivable amount of money. And they just fucking flushed it. And Vox owned Polygon. They just flushed it. They burnt it.
Maybe if Alyssa here, actually did her research instead of leaning into the left-leaning narrative coupled with social media bullshit and her unfettering lies, bias, rage, and fragile ego, we wouldn't have this problem.
Okay, Alyssa, thinking of starting a Discord because it's free of unemployed gaming journos and seeing what we can cook up.
Well, go ahead. I will say, if you can do it yourself, by all means, I will support that you were doing it yourself because we've said that before. It's like, if you don't like it, go do your own thing because it's hard. But if they're to go do their own thing, then, at least I'll give them credit for doing their own thing. I won't agree with them, but I think I'll give them credit for doing their on thing.
I have said before, Aftermath, I don't agree with a lot of those journalists. I think they're activist-minded journalists, but after they got gone from the various websites, I think it was like Kotaku and Waypoint and whatever, they went and started their own website, and it's like a paywalled thing.
It's going to have to be paywalled. If Melissa here and Co are going to do anything, you're going to have to expect people to pay for it, which I don't think people are going to pay for your opinions, just FYI. You're going to have to pay for it because you're not going to make any money the traditional way of doing a blog. It's not going to happen.
Not anymore.
So you're going to have to do it as a paid project, and I do not believe people are going to pay you. Sorry.
They're not going to. All right. The day devs no longer. Okay, so this is the other part of Mam Savvy's tweet. The day devs no longer have to worry about some agenda-driven chuckle duck putting out stupid. I can't believe. Oh yeah, show more. Alyssa says, Alexis de Tocqueville believed that despite a tendency to breed an inevitable evil, bias, or fear-driven journalism, you had to allow a free press to flourish to reap the priceless goods that derive from it. It's not free press. It's corporate-owned shit.
It's biased.
It's corporate-owned shit.
It's like you're talking about bias, but McConty has proven a bias repeatedly. Not only that, but she also was like, she just like really, really has it out for what's his name again? Grums. And then she was even like interviewing people that were unrelated to Grums and somehow made it about Grums.
A freaking farming sim. It was like a cozy game farming sim, and she made it about Grums. I'm like, what the fuck?
You know, look, I'm pro free press. I am pro free press. But that being said, I'm pro free press that you have to be able to stand on your own feet. These people like Alyssa Mercanti have not done any of their own thing. They've never built anything. They've just come into it and they've been given a seat. Fine. You want to be free press? Cool. By all means, go ahead and start your own thing, talk your own opinions. No one's telling you can't be free press. But the difference between free press is this: you're not understanding. You can be free press, but that doesn't mean that people have to read you. Like, you can be free press, but people are free to choose to ignore you. Right. And that's what you're pissed about. Because even if you're free press, market decides. And it has decided. And that's why a lot of you don't have jobs now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between the market deciding and between, you know, the destruction of the internet as we know it, those things took you out. It's not about free press not being a thing. There was free press, except, you know, for years, certain voices and stuff were silenced, were shadow banned, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not the ones you keep making it out to be. Not her specifically, in general.
I just can't believe that. God, for somebody who's trying to play pseudo intellectual,
but pseudo is emphasis on pseudo.
Right. The narrative here is that the struggling left wing media. I'm like, bitch, they controlled everything, even the banks. They controlled.
Oh yeah, they got people shut down. Events weren't allowed to have certain guests, or they were going to lose their, you know, ability to take payments. All that crap. Does that sound like free press to you? Does that sound like free market to you?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It was suffocating. It was awful. And that was a lot. They owned everything. The social media platforms. If you didn't conform, you got a gun to your head, like, you know, freaking Zuckerberg. I mean, who now he's just kind of letting it fly, but like, you had to kowtow to these people. You had to. Everybody was.
What's this have to do with Steve Bannon and Gamergate?
Nothing, because you want somebody to blame. And it's like, if it wasn't for those pesky Gamergaters 10 years ago, I'd still have a job and not be busting tables.
Well, if she wants to know who to blame, it's real easy. Okay, find a shiny surface, look into it. There's the person responsible.
Jeez,
if it doesn't break, there's the person responsible.
This is just absolutely insane. Yeah, Sir D, Sir Damned. Hey, Alyssa, we are pro free press, you fucking idiot. This is what free press looks like. Yes! They had the freedom to publish whatever they wanted. They chose to post objectively stupid shit and politicize everything and then lost their jobs because of that. It's
because people have the right to not read it. You have the freedom to publish it doesn't mean people have to read it.
I mean, look, there are layers to this, but yeah, Polygon, Kotaku, etc., were never grown organically. In fact, Polygon being part of Vox they had hundreds of millions of dollars of venture capital pumped into them, right? It's not like Polygon was just like, hey, we're going to go start our own, like Giant Bomb. I have a lot more respect for Giant Bomb because they actually started their own website, and it was a bunch of guys that wanted to talk about video games, and then they grew it, and then they sold it. That's different. Polygon was a corporate product from day one. Right? It was never an independent site. A lot of the sites that Valnet bought, actually, at one point in time, I'd say probably 2/3 of the websites they have were at one point independent websites. They were free press sites. And then Valnet came in, made them an offer they couldn't refuse. And if they did, bad things would probably happen to them. And this is how Comic Book Resources became CBR and Screen Rant and Game Rant and all these sites that were, again, run by passionate independent journalists. They got gobbled up by some corporate machine. Polygon was never even that. It was always corporate. Polygon, Kotaku, you always worked for corporate-backed bullshit factories, right? It was never free press. And you have to dance to whatever tune they tell you to dance to. And now it's
social media wasn't free either. It's like if you didn't lean the right way, which was left, you weren't allowed to say anything. You were getting dogpiled. You're getting threats. I mean, I can't tell you. Literally have a right poll about you over a cartoon. I mean, this is how insane it was.
Yeah,
it was the far right.
It was Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon was pulling all the
I
strings.
don't like
right?
Steve Bannon. I always thought Steve Bannon was a turd face. I never really cared for Steve Bannon. Sorry.
He yeah, it's so weird because the people that they hate now, a lot of them used to be on their side. So Breitbart was actually involved with the Huffington Post. Did you know that? He was one of the
Yes.
Yeah, he was actually one of the founders of the Huffington Post, which that's one thing they probably tried to bury. And Vice, I think Tim Pool used to be with Vice, and Gavin McInnes, who was the Proud Boys guy, he was with, I think it was Vice. So it was like, I'm saying, like, hey, yeah, you guys, interesting. But yeah, it's look, there's gonna be a lot of blame at the end of the day. If you can't make a go of it, that's because people don't like you, and you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. I mean, this is what I said in the other video. I said there are lots of opportunities out there for independent gaming and pop culture journalists, but you're gonna have to do it yourself, and the audience is gonna decide. The audience is gonna decide if they like you or not.
You're gonna have to find a creative way to monetize it because days of the way it was are over, and I'm telling you that straight up.
You can't just shit stuff on the internet and get ad revenue for it. It doesn't work that way anymore.
No.
Good luck with that. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. I can't believe we're even talking about Gamergate in 2025. There it is, guys. There it is. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.